Macron was forced to reshuffle after some of his former ministers lost in the lower house vote last month. France 24's James André is at the Elysée Presidential Palace, where those announcements came out earlier today. James, tell us a bit more about who is in and who's out.
Absolutely. Well, indeed, as you just said, some of these ministers were to be replaced because that is the rule Emmanuel Macron laid down himself. If you lose in the parliamentary elections, well, you're out. So indeed, we have 3 women ministers who lost their jobs that way. We have Brigitte Bourguignon, who is the health minister. We have Amélie de Montchalin, who is the ecological transition, ecologic minister, and Justine Bénin's minister for the sea. And there's a 4th one that was to be replaced, and that is Yaël Braun-Pivet, not because she lost, but because she won and also went on to become the first woman to be the president of the French National Assembly. So those 4 were to be changed in any case. And then, of course, there is Damien Abad, who is the Minister for Solidarity. He was to be changed as well, simply because an investigation has been opened into allegations of rape. Now, if I give you just a broad picture of these big changes, the first one is indeed the health ministry that goes to François Braun. He is the president of France's Association for the first responder, medical responders. And indeed, he's been chosen because he's given a report to the Prime Minister just recently with 41 propositions in order to fix the French health system, propositions that have all been decided to be worked on, and indeed he gets the job. And this is something that's been told to us by the Elysée this morning, that one of the objectives of this government was indeed to have competent people. As you know, the president has lost the majority in parliament, and there have been negotiations, but the opposition parties chose not to take part in this government, despite being asked repeatedly. So they chose people who had competence in various fields. Hospital is very big dossier right now for the French government, and so they're hoping that deals can be broken in Parliament thanks to the competence of some ministers. Another very important post is, of course, the ecology minister. And indeed, it is Christophe Béchu that gets that job. Christophe Béchu, that's more of a political choice. He is the general secretary of the newly created Édouard Philippe party named Horizons. So indeed, that is indeed the presidency brokering, creating a stronger coalition inside the majority. Also for the sea, Justine Bénin is replaced by Hervé Berville. And there is another part of this reshuffle. I'm not going to give you all the names, I'm going to give you the main ones. Indeed, the spokesperson for the French government has changed. Indeed, it is now Olivier Véran. Olivier Véran was the former health minister during the COVID crisis, and indeed the French know him well. He's a respected figure. He's also highly divisive in Parliament. He was just prior to this job, he was the Minister of Relations with the Parliament, and indeed that was becoming a bit difficult. So indeed he's been replaced at that job by Franck Riester. Franck Riester, who has been an MP for a very long time now, who knows the ins and outs of the French Parliament very, very well. So there we are, just a few names of this government that is gender equal, 21 ministers, 21 men, 21 women, and also that is a government that is described here as a government for action. Obviously, it's going to be difficult to be efficient with a divided parliament, but also a government's going to have to get to work very quickly. Actually, this afternoon, the first cabinet meeting is planned, and on the 6th of July, Elisabeth Borne, the Prime Minister, has been confirmed, will give her general policy speech at the National Assembly.
James, thanks for that. James André there reporting for us from the Elysée Presidential Palace.